Thanks very much for stopping by the Digital Creator Daily. If you're new here, I'm Rob from Hey Summit, and this is the daily-ish show where I get to have some awesome conversations with brilliant people who are doing really interesting things. We talk about the creator mindset, staying authentic, assembling your toolkit, exploring platforms, and more. It's a pretty relaxed show about and for creators, thought leaders, and independent entrepreneurs. And just a reminder, regardless of how you're tuning in, whether it's live as we're chatting right now or on the podcast later on, a conversation is best when it's shared. So however you are tuning in, please feel free to jump in with your thoughts, questions, your perspectives. And thanks very much for spending a bit of time with us. I'm really happy to welcome Angela Bryant to the show. Angela is the founder of Angel Rated, an independent review site where you can add and read reviews of all the courses, coaches, and tools you've used to build your online businesses. Her mission is to help female online business owners find the perfect person, program, or platform for the next stage of their business growth. She created Angel Rated to help others cut through the hype of affiliate reviews and posh testimonials. Would love to dig into that. And to prevent them from wasting time and money on unsuitable products. So a bunch to talk about, Angela, but thank you so much for taking the time to spend with me today.
You're very welcome. It's great to be here.
So first off, I guess before we get into Angel Rated and also some of the other initiatives that you've started, a little bit more about your background. You've come from the corporate environment, and you have a corporate background, and then you decided to start your own thing. Can you walk me through, like, how did that happen? How did you decide? I have this corporate gig. I want to pivot. I want to change. What was that like? And walk me through the kind of stages of, not, I wouldn't say stages of grief, but like stages of change before you kind of decided, you know what, I want to kind of walk my own path rather than staying in a corporate one.
I think stages of grief is probably a really good good way of describing it, actually. So yeah, I did probably 20 years of corporate work, various different high-level, senior executive type roles. And I think I just got to the point, I was heading for my 40th birthday, actually, and was just completely burnt out. I was doing that corporate thing. I was eating 3 meals a day on the run, on my commute at my desk, doing a really long commute, sort of round journey, about 3.5 hours every day. I was working with very, young, bright, passionate people who wanted to work all hours, and I was doing the same, and a really stressful situation. And I just got to the point where I couldn't do it anymore. And I thought I didn't want to get to my 40th birthday and still be going, am I doing the right thing? Is this really what I want to be doing with my life? So I decided to take 6 months off, and just to refine myself, reconnect, and figure out what I really wanted to be when I grew up. And I just stumbled actually into the online business world. I had no idea it existed, and my mind was pretty blown. It was that, like, wow, there is a whole millions of people out there doing their own thing, working for themselves, working online, working with clients all around the world. And yeah, I was just really, really impressed by what I saw and just couldn't wait to get involved in it.
So you kind of stumbled onto this space. What kind of made you think, I can do this? How did you find where you fit into that space that you discovered?
I think I just kept trying different things, actually, until I found the thing that worked. So I trained as a health coach to start with, because I was really interested in health and wellness. And I started off trying to do that. But then I realized actually all my corporate skills were really, really valuable and useful. So everything I'd learned, I could sort of bring with me and use that to support other people who are working online. I just kept trying to dive into different things. And I was actually building sort of an online business around sort of tech integration and getting all your systems up and running and your launch happening and everything talking to each other. And I was doing that. I was also doing some health coaching. I was just sort of, sticking a toe in, trying different things and just seeing which ones worked, which ones felt more comfortable, and which ones, worked with my lifestyle and my skills. So yeah, it was just a bit of a suck it and see, and, actually having to try it to know what's right and to know what works.
And obviously that whole, suck it and see approach, that's very, maybe in retrospect, sounds really fun, really, really enjoyable. Oh, it's like every day is a new adventure. But at the same time, I imagine that you've taken 6 months off, you've discovered this massive new space that you want to kind of get into. You don't necessarily have the background in it to already have maybe the built up confidence that you will succeed. I imagine it was also quite a complicated time, or was it, or did you actually kind of not worry about it too much?
There was a culture shock, definitely. I wasn't too worried about the sort of, I guess, the technical aspects of getting on,
Sure.
building things. But the going from having a team around me and people around me and being in an office to suddenly being on my own at my desk with an inbox that wasn't getting hundreds and hundreds of emails every day, and no one to just turn around and bounce ideas off, and no one to go and, talk to or moan at or just try and get ideas with. All that sort of isolation stuff was really hard to begin with. Just sort of suddenly being on my own in the office, trying to figure out all the different pieces and do all the jobs. So suddenly, you're the bookkeeper and the graphic designer and the this and everything. So I think it was just the hardest part was probably, balancing all those different roles and getting to grips with, not having all the people around me and the support structures around me, and trying to find ways of replicating those.
And did you find that you had a lot of pressure on yourself to try everything? Because I know what you're saying, suck it and see. We'll try a little bit of this, see if it was working, try a little bit of that. But there's also, at least I find that a lot of kind of creators and independent entrepreneurs, they have this immense FOMO for anything that they're not doing at that stage. So whether it's, if you're on social media, you have to be on all the social medias. You're going to create a course because that's the big thing. So go off and create a course. And there's this sense that maybe you're missing out on something. Therefore, whatever it is that you're working on is not going to work. And so then you take the focus off the thing that you're working on because you don't think it's going to work, and then it ends up not working. So how did you navigate that whole world? Did you find that maybe your personality, your approach made it a little bit easier to navigate than others, or did you run into those kind of issues as well?
I definitely ran into those issues, and it's that there's always something new coming up. There's always the next big idea. You have to do webinars, you have to do courses, you have to do, challenges, whatever it is. There's always that next idea that everyone's suddenly doing. And I think there is some aspects of that where you need to start trying some of those things just actually to see whether you enjoy them and whether they're going to work for you and your business. But there's also that counter to that of having to stay in your own lane and do the thing that you're trying to build and keep it working. So I think, I like to know everything, and I like to have all the information. So I do like to try different things and sort of learn all the new things that are going on out there and do all the courses and, listen to what people are learning and what's working for them. But I think it's then having that confidence in what you're doing so that you don't then apply it all to your business. You pick and choose the things that are actually going to be useful to you rather than just trying to do everything, which is impossible.
Are there some examples of you building that confidence? Like, are there things that you found that you tried that just didn't work and that maybe gave you more confidence to try other things?
I mean, for me, I think it was more about the sort of the type of work than it was about how to deliver it. So especially something like the health coaching, I quite quickly realized that I wasn't enjoying doing one-to-one coaching, which is, I started doing that, and I really struggled, especially as I wanted to have quite a flexible, independent life. I was really struggling with that idea of having clients in the diary every single week and just, having that. I think I'd gone from such a structured corporate straitjacket, and this was all about me finding something that was a bit more flexible and a bit more creative and a bit more, bit more leeway in my diary. And suddenly having something that it was in there all the time I sort of railed against it to begin with. So I think it was more about the type of work and the sort of what I actually wanted to be working on and offering were the things rather than the how to go about it.
And how did you balance the, trying something new from a almost business approach to being able to market that thing? It's kind of one thing to say, I, want to kind of get into health coaching and see one-to-one clients. That it's another thing to then say, so how am I going to find new ones? Am I going to look at referral marketing? Am I going to go off and build a course? Like, did you, it sounded like you were both experimenting with different just things you wanted to do. but that also opens up a whole host of different areas of how are you going to get people to buy the thing or use the thing or be part of the thing. Did you go through, did you find that to be a challenge, or did you just see that as part of the process?
It is a challenge, and it still is, because I still try and do too many different things, because I just have, I'm excited and I like new things and I like building and creating new things, especially when I see gaps in the market for something. But I think the hardest thing is if you're trying to do it all under, I guess, different brands. So I had different websites, they're different audiences. You're trying to do too many different things at once, and you definitely lose that focus. It becomes very scattergun. And at the time, I wasn't into a good enough routine to be able to compartmentalize into different businesses. So I was trying to just do a bit of everything all at once, and it was very scattergun. But luckily, I was in some really great communities based on various courses that I'd taken, and those communities were a great source of clients. So in terms of marketing, it was a lot of it was sort of getting out there and getting your name out there and just doing work for a few people and then being recommended and moving on from that point of view, rather than actually going out there and trying to do the promotion cold to, the more traditional marketing.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think the way that you're describing it is, kind of, well, I'm doing this, and then that led to that, and that led to that. And it sounds almost like very, I don't know, not matter of fact, but like, very straightforward, even though I imagine that this was a lot of different roundabout ways of figuring it out. How, a lot of people talk about, especially when they're going from a corporate environment into starting their own thing, that it's quite a lonely experience. And I know that you chatted about communities that you joined, and I think a lot of people really do find joining communities helpful. But when you are the boss, and maybe in the early days that is you being the accountant and the designer and all that kind of stuff, but then when you are putting yourself out there, everything is you, and so that means if someone says no, they don't want to work with you, it's very hard not to take that as, I think you're no good, therefore you stink, I don't want to work with you, versus you're not the right fit for the problem that I have right now. How did you handle that? How did you approach that kind of I don't want to say pressure, but like maybe potential for you to get in your own head that I think a lot of entrepreneurs face?
I think coupled with everything you've just described there, I also had that real fear of visibility, that sort of real fear of putting my head above the parapet and say, this is what I'm now doing, because it was so different to what I'd done in the past. So it was that real, there's a book called Rocket Fuel, which is all about the visionary and then the integrator being the sort of person behind the scenes who loves doing all that. When I read that book and suddenly realized that I was the integrator, and I was sort of trying to force myself to be the visionary, the person at the front going, look at me, I'm doing this thing, come and, play with me and do, whatever. And it really helped me understand that actually, especially when you're starting a business, you almost need to do both of those roles, but you might be more comfortable in one or the other. So I was definitely more comfortable in that sort of behind the scenes processes, systems, all that side of thing. And it's only more recently that I've actually got more comfortable doing a bit more of the front and center. This is my business, being visible, getting out there, talking to people. So that was definitely something I found really hard at the beginning. But again, I think some of that stuff about rejection really comes back again. It's almost that, who do you have surround you when you get that support structure, and are they the sort of people that will lift you up and go, well, that person wasn't right for you, it's not because you're no good, it's because it wasn't an alignment of for some reason. And it's knowing that not everyone's going to be your client, and you're not going to be right for everyone, and really not taking that to heart. It was really important, a good lesson to learn early on, definitely.
Cool. Well, so shifting gears a little bit, I kind of would love to hear the story behind Angel Rated, because when you kind of see it, I don't know, it seems like there is very much a story that must be behind it, in terms of how it came about. So I'd love to kind of hear a little bit about what went into developing the business, and maybe why you took the specific approach to reviews and testimonials.
So I was building my health coaching business. I was doing something that at the time was called the Detail Queen, which was this sort of more back end work. And I went traveling with my husband. So we decided we'd never taken a gap year. We decided to take 6 months off, well, not off, but 6 months to go traveling and go abroad, and went around Southeast Asia and New Zealand and various places. But we were working while we were traveling. And we were, as I was sort of every day as we're traveling, we are looking on TripAdvisor, on Yelp, on all the local sort of review type sites saying, where should we eat tomorrow night or tonight? Where should we stay tomorrow night? What activities should we do tomorrow night? So that's all sort of going on while we're traveling. And at the same time, every afternoon we're sitting down and working, and I'm having conversations about which email marketing platform should I use, which business coach should I use? Sure. Should I sign up for this course or that course or the other course? You know, if I wanted to learn Facebook ads, which course should I do? If I want to learn how to use Instagram for business, what should I do? And I was looking everywhere, and all I could find were sort of testimonials on individual people's sites, which is, you know, testimonials written by their friends, closest, best clients that have been edited and only, you know, speak to pain points or just show off the absolute best of that product. Or you would find sort of reviews written on individual people's blog posts where they were affiliates and they were writing lovely reviews because, you know, they wanted to channel you through to as an affiliate payment. And I was just like, where is this TripAdvisor or this Yelp equivalent for online business owners? You know, is there anything out there that is for the solopreneur, for the, you know, somebody on their own that just lists, you know, all the different courses, all the coaches, all the different software and tech and tools and the communities and the webinars, you know, all the different things that are going on? Is there anywhere that has that in one place where you can write those independent reviews and just see multiple reviews in one place, like you would if you were choosing a restaurant, you know, or a hotel, or literally anything else in the world at the moment? And it really felt like I couldn't find it. There are some for sort of more the techie tools, but aimed at sort of bigger businesses. But there was nothing. And it feels like every other industry has gone through a sort of growing phase where some sort of review sites pop up. So if you're a plumber, a hairdresser, you know, a cafe, Amazon, you know, everything, you can now go and check on some sort of review site before you buy it. And in the online business world, we just don't do that. It really struck me how different it was. And the idea just wouldn't leave me alone. I was having all these downloads about how it should look and what it should do. And I could not stop thinking about it the whole time we were traveling. And just, yeah, well, by the time we finished traveling, I'd convinced myself that I actually, you know, I had to make it happen. I had to be the person to build it.
And so, and how has been, what's been the response so far?
People, when I explain it, when you say like the TripAdvisor for online business, or Yelp works better in the US because they don't really have TripAdvisor in the same way, but you talk about it and they go, oh yeah, oh yes, that doesn't exist, does it? You know, and it makes people realize that we rely really, really heavily on these testimonials. We take them as being reviews when they're not really. You know, they're owned by the business owner, and they're crafted and they're made to be really positive and, you know, talk to these common objections and all these things. But there isn't anywhere, if you're an online business, where you've got that equivalent of those reviews, the things that really are independent and they're held by a third party and they can't be edited, and, you know, they can have a response, but people can share their experience, and whether it's good or bad or indifferent, and you get that much richer feel for who that product or service is for and who it's going to be ideal for. And when people realize that, they sort of have this aha moment of going, A, it doesn't exist, and B, testimonials and reviews are really different things, and actually we need both. I mean, reviews are really good at almost driving warm leads to your website, because, you know, they might compare 5 different courses on how to create your first website, and then, you know, they think, oh, this one's got some good reviews, I'll go through, so they're interested in buying. But then once they get onto your website, that's where the testimonials can do the sales process and can help as part of that process. But they do quite different things. And and I think people just suddenly realize, A, it needs to exist, and it's one of those things that just needs to snowball. And the more people use it and the more things are on there and more reviews are on there, the more useful it will be. And so it's got that sort of community where it needs to grow and grow to help it become a really, really useful tool.
And maybe for those who might actually be listed on here because they've created a course, um, do you have any tips about how to respond to maybe critical reviews or approaches to take when looking at reviews that you can't control in a way? Not trying to say that negatively.
Mm.
Yeah, any kind of tips?
So I mean, people are concerned sometimes about having something that they can't control, obviously. And for me, I think it shows almost a lack of belief in in what you've created. So if you've created something that is a really good product and you are only selling it to people who are ideal customers for that product, then you shouldn't really have any concerns that there would be any negative reviews, because if you really are doing something that's high quality and you're selling it to the right people, then why would they have anything negative to say about it? Unless, it might just be that it's not delivered in a style that's quite right for them. Maybe it's a different learning style or something. But if people do get bad reviews, I mean, people have this feeling that one negative review can will destroy their entire business, and that's not the case. You see that with restaurants or anything else. So I think that the best advice is really to take a deep breath and not to respond immediately. So on Angel Rated, the business owner can write a response to any review saying thank you, or to respond to it. Secondly, I would say to really consider the feedback and whether it is actually fair feedback and whether it is something that could help you improve. And then I would respond to the review that's been written. And first off, apologize. Be really upfront and be sorry that they've had a negative experience. Thank them for taking the time to write a review. Maybe acknowledge some of the issues that they've raised, and talk about, if they've got concerns, sort of respond to them if it's appropriate, or talk about what you might do to put it right in the future. There's lots of different things you can do. I mean, it's not about making excuses, but maybe it's about adding context. And you can, you've seen it yourself with restaurants. Somebody will say something negative, and if the restaurant owner comes back and says, I'm so sorry, we were really short-staffed last night, it was so below our usual standards, please come back, let me know you're here, we'll give you a free dinner, blah, blah, blah. You turn that customer around and you show everyone else that you care, that you're taking feedback on board, that you're not, you can really write something that really helps everyone else see that you're a decent person and that you're trying to make amends. So I think that sort of good response really impresses potential future clients.
Absolutely. I mean, even if people are worried about crazy reviews that are not fair at all, oftentimes if you do actually get one of those and you respond in a really earnest and open way, that tells you a heck of a lot more about the integrity of the person, the business owner. And that stacks up incredibly well when people jump to see the 1-star reviews and then just see the impressiveness of the response. So absolutely agree there. Do you find that those who have engaged with the platform actually start to see a better reaction, or those who start to respond to those reviews? Are you tracking that at all?
We haven't quite got enough data yet, and
Right.
it's one of those things that I can really see. My background is sort of analysis and data
Sure.
originally, and I can really see some really fascinating potential in the future.
Mm,
Once there's far more data, you could just really understand what impact that would have. But you could also understand, it's almost like the Amazon, people who bought this also like this. You could
exactly.
start seeing which groups of things work well for similar sorts of people, and you
Mm,
could understand that if you're a visual learner and you're a complete beginner and you're a blah, whatever, then maybe these sort of products are the sort of services or courses or coaches are the sort of people that you should be working with. Whereas if
mhm.
you're more experienced and you're an auditory learner, or different things are going to work for different people. So I think in the future there's a massive, really interesting potential for what you could do with the data, but we're still relatively early days for the moment. So I definitely, anecdotally, I've heard from people saying that, yeah, they've had really good responses and they are seeing people coming through to their site and being, looking to buy.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Angela, for joining me today and for taking a few minutes to chat. If anybody out there would like to learn more about Angel Rated, then please go to angelrated.com to sign up. And also, if you have any products or services that you want to add, make sure that you go there as well to add those products and services free of charge, or write a review of a course that you've taken recently or a coach that you've used. You can also follow Angel Rated across all the regular socials at Angel Rated HQ. You also can have a look at Angela's community, Cowork Crowd, by going to coworkcrowd.com. Angela, thank you so much for taking some time.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All righty. Take care.